Boy, it's about to get juicy. Juicy fruit. It's Friday. You ain't got no job, or maybe you do, but you ain't got shit to do. You here watching me on the LouieTeeNetwork podcast live and in color. Don't dish the man or bum rush your mother. We got football coming tomorrow, 3 games, and then after that, we got another 3 games on Sunday after that. It should be good. And on top of all of that, the biggest drama has nothing to do with playoff football. Y'all give it up for Mr. Deshaun Watson. Who else could it be? Me, your man, Louie T. Welcome to the 128th installment of the LouieTeeNetwork podcast. I, of course, am your set man, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. I got to apologize for the slight delay today. Man, kids are greedy as shit. My son is 2. And when he is hungry, he's hungry. Okay? So I'm about to start the pod at 3 o'clock. Get a knock at the door. Open up the door. It's pizza. Ah, cool. Girl ordered some pizza. That's for later. He sees the pizza box and he's like his dad. Favorite food, pizza. Now, my favorite food is actually French fries. However, pizza, it's 1A, 1B, essentially. So anyway, he loves pizza. That's his favorite food. So he sees the pizza box. He already knows what time it is. Dad, I want pizza. I want to get in the chair. So I said, this can't wait till later. He's like, nope, want pizza. He goes and gets his tablet because that's what he does. He watches his tablet and eats his food. And so he goes and gets his tablet and he's waiting at his chair patiently like, all right, Dad, what's the next move, man? Come on. Pizza time. So he's not taking no for an answer here. All right, fine. Going to go get you some pizza. I know this is going to be a process. I said, but, he just had a few bowls of cereal not too long ago. Maybe it was a few hours ago, but he shouldn't want too much, right? So he scarfs down the first batch of pizza. Dad, want some more pizza? Okay, give him some more pizza. A few more minutes later. Dad, want some more pizza? I'm like, I'm trying to start my podcast, dude. Can you just wrap this thing up? How about some juice? No, one pizza. So at the end of the day, I apologize, but it wasn't my fault. It ain't my fault. Did I do that? It ain't my fault. Did I do that? Nah, it ain't my fault. But I'm here. It's Friday, and I'm ready to talk some ball, man. And we got a lot to discuss on today's pod. Should be a really juicy one. As I mentioned at the top of the show, we're going to talk Deshaun Watson here in a second and that whole dilemma in Houston. I don't think it's really much to do about anything, but we're going to talk about it anyway. It's a hot topic. A lot of people are invested in different teams around the league. Saints fans are interested. Bears fans are interested. 49ers fans are interested. Washington fans are interested. And obviously, Texans fans are trying to dismiss this. I remember this same topic coming up last year with Stephon Diggs, and Vikings fans didn't want to hear it. And then a few months later, Stephon Diggs is traded to the Buffalo Bills, and now he's a first-team All-Pro in the NFL for the Buffalo Bills. So these things can happen very, very quickly. I don't think anything is happening here, but we'll talk about it anyway. We'll take a look at some issues. I got some topics that I want to pose to you guys, and you're going to tell me if they're right or they're wrong. So we're going to do that a little bit later on in the show, and of course, we're going to get to Wildcard weekend. Man, these are some really intriguing games, and I could see all of these games, all 6 of them, going in any direction. I think these are some really good games, competitive, good matchups, really good slate of games to kick off the 2020-2021 NFL postseason. So we'll do that a little bit later on in the show. But as we always do, and you know what time it is, don't act brand new because we have some guests. Don't do that. I don't like when you do that. We got to start this show off with a Gem Droppin Session. So let's get to that, man. Let me drop this gem on your melon. Open your mind, let your conscience be free. You're now rolling with your man, Louie T. Let me open you up. Get you thinking a little bit. So, yesterday or Wednesday, we talked about Watson. Y'all give it up for Mr. Deshaun Watson. And I said, I don't know if I feel comfortable with my star quarterback wanting input on my GM search. I'm going to walk that comment back am going to offer up a double O to Deshaun Watson. Okay. I was wrong. I didn't have all the facts. And sometimes, no, all the time, it's good to have all the facts. You know, a lot of times we jump to conclusions when we hear something. You read a headline and that headline's very misleading and you don't read the story, so you don't have all the facts and you just run with it. And then you come to find out, well, damn, I was wrong. Now, I didn't say anything flagrant about Deshaun Watson, but I did say I'm not comfortable with my star quarterback wanting input on my GM search. Now, if you want to have input on the head coach, I'm all for it. That's the guy you're going to be working very closely with. But the GM, not so much. I don't really want you involved in that process. However, that's not how this situation was set up. It's not how it was laid out to Deshaun. And so I have to offer up a double O to him. And I just did. And we had the conversation on various shows. I did this on another channel. I did it on my channel several times on the Washington show last night. We went through this exercise. Deshaun Watson's a top 5 quarterback in this league right now. All right. And if you were starting a franchise, and I haven't done this, but if you were starting a franchise, and just for you out there trying to rack your brain, well, who's in front of him? It's not a hard exercise to go through. It's really quick, actually. It's Mahomes, it's Rodgers, it's Wilson, it's Brady. That's the group. Then it's Deshaun Watson. So, and you could easily say, hey, I'd take Watson ahead of Brady. Fine, that's fine. He's not ahead of the first 3, not yet. But if you wanted to put him ahead of Brady, knock yourself out. I wouldn't do that yet. Anyway, he's top 5. That's all that matters. All right, it's a short list of guys. And if you were starting an NFL franchise, he'd be the 3rd quarterback you'd take. You'd probably take Mahomes first. You'd probably take Wilson second. And then you'd take Watson third. You might take Watson second. All right. Whatever the case may be, he is a top 5 quarterback in this league. They are hard to find. And so when you've got one of those guys, you don't give him up. And I've already stated that. So I never thought, and I dismissed this before, and I'm going to continue to dismiss this, and I may ultimately be wrong. But I just don't see any way possible that Deshaun Watson isn't in Houston, because if I'm the Texans, he's the only thing we've got left worth salvaging. And you could talk to me about J.J. Watt, and that's cool. The best of J.J. Watt has come and gone, okay? And he may have another double-digit sack season in him, and he may be still playing at a high level, but J.J. Watt isn't going to be J.J. Watt 2-3 years from now. Deshaun Watson is going to be Deshaun Watson for the next decade. Plus, more likely than not. So, this is the guy that you have to keep. And in this league, where quarterbacks reign supreme, and if you want a chance to win year in and year out, if you want to give yourself the best chance, the best path to doing that is with the franchise quarterback. And he's not any average or regular franchise quarterback. He's not Ryan Tannehill or Derek Carr or, one of these Matthew Stafford or Matt Ryan. He's not one of those guys. He's a top 5 guy. He's elite. He's a game changer. He's a difference maker. He's a needle mover. You don't give those guys away when you get them. You know how hard it is to find that guy? And you got him? There's no way the Texans are going to give him up. I don't give a shit. Deshaun could scream bloody murder. And if I'm the Texans, look, no one wants a guy that doesn't want to be there. But I don't think Deshaun is on this ultimatum where you trade me or else. Don't think he's there yet. Now, if they don't handle this thing correctly, it's a delicate situation. He's not happy right now. And he's voiced his opinion and he's let people know he's not happy. So if you handle this incorrectly, this thing could go sideways and there could be a trade. You may not have a choice. But if I'm the Texans, I'm going to handle this thing the best that I can. And the best way to handle situations like this is through communication. When you don't talk to people, you allow a lot of different influences to seep in and dissension to foster. That's what happened in the Khalil Mack situation. The Raiders just didn't reach out to him. There was no communication, and it got to a point where, oh, that's how y'all feel? Well, I don't want to talk to you now. Now they try to reach out. I don't want to talk to you now. There's nothing to talk about. I want out. there needs to be communication. He needs to know where signals got crossed. And I want to read to you, this is what clarified a lot of things for me. And so I want to read this to you guys. This is Adam Schefter's post, and he wrote a whole article for ESPN. But I want to give you what he posted on IG yesterday, because I thought this cleared it up for me. And it's a nice little snapshot of this situation, and it gives you a look into the eyes of Deshaun Watson, and you look at this situation through his lens and get a better understanding of why he was frustrated. And then if you're the Houston Texans, I think it also gives you a window into what he's thinking and how you can resolve this issue. And so I want to read this to you. All right, so this is from Shefty on IG, on his IG account yesterday. So Schefter writes, by hiring former New England Patriots executive Nick Caserio to solve a large set of problems within the organization, the Houston Texans have created additional ones with star quarterback Deshaun Watson. Watson offered his input on potential general manager candidates, but the Texans neither considered nor consulted with those endorsed by the franchise quarterback, league sources told ESPN. So, when I first started this thing, I was like, I don't have a problem with the Texans saying, hey, this is not for you to have input on. However, we're not done yet. He says, additionally, the Texans did not inform Watson that they had intended to hire Caserio. Again, I'm like, they don't need to tell him this. Okay, hold on, we're not done yet. He says, and he found out about the hire on social media. That contributed to Watson taking to Twitter that night to post "Some things never change." And I was wondering what that had to do with when I saw it that night. I thought it had something to do with the Capitol situation. I didn't think it had anything to do with his situation in Houston. But now it all makes sense. You start connecting dots. Anyway, Schefter goes on to say, Watson's feelings were not directed toward Caserio, sources told ESPN, but instead were indicative of the way business was again conducted by the Texans. Now you're about to get the backstory as to why he feels like some things never change. So he said, Schefter goes on to say, last offseason, Houston didn't let Watson know that star wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins would be traded. That's a problem for me. If that's my guy, he's the best receiver in the league. If I'm Watson, that's how I feel. We're best friends. We both went to Clemson. If you're going to move him, I'm not going to be happy, but at least I should hear about it from you guys, not from my Twitter feed or social media or IG. Anyway, he says, which led to some disappointment, as you could imagine. Not even how he found out, just the fact that the guy was traded would lead to disappointment. Anyway, now that it has happened again, Watson is said to be infinitely more bothered, sources tell ESPN. Schefter goes on to write again. This time, Watson had met with Texans owner Cal McNair on several instances, sharing thoughts on certain candidates that came highly recommended, with Watson suggesting that the team at least talk to them, sources told ESPN. He did not expect Houston to hire those that he endorsed, but he was hoping the Texans would be respectful of the feelings of the group of his teammates that he was trying to represent. So it's not just Watson. They try to make this seem like it's not just Watson, but maybe J.J. Watt and a few others in that locker room that have a little bit of pull and staying power in Houston, that they may want some of these guys to be at least considered for the job. Okay. The Texans, however, did not act on their quarterback's thoughts and charged ahead with a hire that mattered to a much smaller circle than the one that Watson was trying to aid, sources told ESPN. Also, Schefter finishes up with this. Even if they didn't want to move forward with any of Watson's recommended candidates, sources told ESPN that Watson wanted to at least have the opportunity to meet with ownership's finalists so he could offer his thoughts from a player standpoint to benefit the team, and then the Texans could hire who they wanted. That opportunity never came. So the biggest thing that I see with this situation is that Watson was told one thing, that his input, the players in that locker room's input, would be somewhat relevant and considered at the least. And then they pretty much, it's like they talked out of both sides of their mouth, essentially. They told Watson, hey, we value you. We value your teammates in that locker room. And we want you guys' input on this situation. We really want you guys to be comfortable with some of these decisions that are being made. And then on the other hand, they said, to hell with them. This is what we want to do. And that's what they ultimately did. Remember, I talked about this last week, or it might have been last pod or the pod before that. Nick Caserio was the guy they wanted all along. You remember, they wanted him before Bill O'Brien got all this power. They wanted to hire Nick Caserio, and for whatever reason, it did not happen. And so they got a second chance to do something that they wanted to do the first time, and they made it happen. And ultimately, he may be the right man for the job. We don't know. But the bottom line is, they told Deshaun Watson one thing, and they did another. And for Watson, this isn't the first time that this has been done to him. And he feels like this organization isn't doing right by him, nor his teammates. And it's part of the reason that they're in the predicament that they're in right now, sitting, dead last or second to last in the AFC South, and sitting there with the top, 5 pick, or what would have been a top 5 pick had they not traded away to the Miami Dolphins. So he's frustrated, he's disappointed, and I don't think it's enough for him to just want out. Like, there's no reconciliation here. I got to get out of here as fast as possible. But as I mentioned at the top of this show, and let me state for the record, I don't think Deshaun Watson is going anywhere. Nick Caserio has already come in, and he's already said 4 and 99 are guys that we value in this organization, and we don't want them going anywhere. We want those guys here. They're a part of our future. Sounds good, but you don't need to convince us of that. We're not important. What needs to be said is, and yes, you do need to come out and say that. That does need to be an emphasis put out there. But really who you need to be talking to is Deshaun Watson. That's who you need to smooth things over with. The court of public opinion is going to be what it is. And ultimately, you can circle back around and get to us and smooth things out. But who you really need to talk to and smooth things out with is Deshaun Watson. Because again, the longer you go without talking to him, there's nothing more important. After Caserio is introduced as Texans GM, there's nothing more important than talking to Deshaun Watson. Nothing. There's not one thing that is more important than you getting on the same page with your franchise quarterback. And I hope he understands that, because I remember when Ron Rivera first took the job here in Washington, and I thought one of the first things he was going to do was talk to Trent Williams. Like, hey, we got a chance to keep our all-pro left tackle now that new blood is here. The guy that he couldn't stand is no longer here. It's fresh blood. I figured they're going to smooth things over. And Ron just, it wasn't something that Ron had really high on his list of priorities to do. Ron was looking at a bunch of different things, and Trent was just sitting there like, really, dude? You're gonna go and try to sign Greg Olsen? You're gonna go have a meeting with Greg Olsen before you come talk to me? How dare you? Now, was he in his feelings? Sure, but Trent should have been higher on the list of items to take care of once he was announced as the head coach of this football team. Talking to Trent Williams and figuring out what this situation was and how can we bring you back into the mix should have been high on Ron's priority list, but it wasn't. And that's what allowed that situation to become fractured to the point where Trent didn't want to play for him either and wanted out. Same thing that we saw with the Raiders and Khalil Mack. There was a lack of communication. They didn't reach out. Khalil wasn't reaching out. And it's not the player's job in that instance to reach out, okay? It's your job. If you really value this guy and you want him here, it's your job to reach out to him and let him know how much he is valued and how much we are going to do to keep you here in, silver and black in the Raiders case, and for the Texans here in Texans blue. We got to do everything in our power to make sure that you're the cornerstone, you're the foundation, you're the franchise guy. We can't operate without you. We're not the Houston Texans without Deshaun Watson. Nobody cares about us. We're not on Sunday Night Football. We're not on Monday Night Football without Deshaun Watson. We're not in the NFL consciousness without you. They have to make sure he understands that. And then that sounds good, but you also have to lay out a plan for Deshaun that lets him know, we're not going to have you out there fighting with Justin Watson. Okay? That can't be after you pull out Brandon Cooks And after you also pull out of your other side holster, David Johnson, the next item that you pull out to try to fire at somebody can't be Justin Watson. So you got to lay out a plan that shows him, here's what we're going to do to bring this franchise back to a place where we can compete for something meaningful. So hopefully they understand that and they don't botch this thing, because to me, there's no way he's getting out of Houston. There's no way that they're going to allow him out of there. And there's no way that they're going to allow this situation to escalate any further than it's gone already. To me, it's already gone far enough. They effed this thing up to let it get to the point where, look, he already had a frustrating season. He had already spoken out several times on how disappointed he was on how the season went. You knew he had to be pissed off. And you remember last year he quoted Drake, you know, when they traded away Deshaun DeAndre Hopkins, he was already pissed off. You already knew he wasn't happy. And then when the season goes the way that it goes, you already knew there was some ill will right there. And he was a little salty. And for this situation to go the way that it did, you really misplayed this situation. Like, you really messed this up if you're the Texans. But you still can make it right. But if you don't, and he gets to a point where he doesn't want to talk anymore, he doesn't want to hear from you, all he wants is out, then that's when we'll start having real conversations about who can get their hands on one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I don't see it happening. He's a top 5 quarterback. The Texans understand what this is. Like, you can put your little first and second round picks back in your back pockets, guys. Okay? All you teams out there, you're strapped for cash, this, that, and the third, and you're making up all these scenarios, and you're tossing in. You can put all that stuff back in your pocket. Okay? It ain't happening. And if I'm the Texans, you don't have enough. You don't have enough to give me to get this guy from up off me. So it's a crazy situation. It's worth following, but I don't think it's going to lead to what a lot of you are hoping it's going to lead to, which is a change of scenery for Deshaun Watson. That's just how I feel. But they've botched this thing, but they still have a chance to fix it. And so we'll see if they do the things necessary to make him feel like he didn't make a wrong decision. Like, he didn't make a mistake when he signed that extension a year or two ago. So I just thought it was interesting how this thing has evolved and how all these fans of all these different teams have just all of a sudden thrown their name in a hat. Hey, you can have this guy. They're giving away players. You can have this guy. You can have these picks right here. Hell, you can have our whole draft. Stop. Like, I posed a situation to Washington fans last night. I said, if I'm the Texans and I'm trading Deshaun Watson, which, again, let me state for the record, once again, I do not think it's going to happen. Never thought it was going to happen. Still don't think it's going to happen. But if it were to happen, if it got to a place where this thing it's severed and there's no way to repair it and there's no reconciliation, if I'm the Texans, I'm absolutely getting like a Herschel Walker's type of ransom for this guy. And, you know, it starts with 2 1s. It starts there. That's not where it ends. It starts with 2 1s minimum. It could be more. But, and I want a star player from you. I want one of your best players. I want 2 1s, and I want one of your best players. And I might want some more draft capital too. And I liken it to the Odell Beckham trade. No, they didn't get 2 1s. But they got a guy that was drafted in the first round in Jabril Peppers, and a guy that they signed as a high-priced free agent in the guard that they had signed in free agency from Cincinnati. They got him too. So they got a lot in return. And so I think it's 2 1s, and I want, and I was saying, and I posed this scenario to Washington fans. I want Montez Sweat. And I had a fan say, where do I sign? Where's the paperwork? I'm like, you guys have lost your damn mind. Haven't you learned from the Robert Griffin III trade? Now, this is not that. We know what this commodity is. We didn't know what Robert Griffin III was going to be. We know what this is. This is bona fide stamped star in the league. So you know what you're getting. You can give up 2 first-round picks knowing I got a guy that's going to be around for the next 12 years. You don't have any problems giving that up. But, I tried to make it And you know, I think it would even be more that you would have to give up than just 2 ones and a star player, you know, a budding star on a rookie deal, which is what they'll want too, because they need cap relief as well. So there'll be a lot of things that you'd have to do. I don't know. I don't think 2 ones gets it done. It might be 2 ones, 2 twos, and a 5, and a star player on your team on a rookie deal, you know, a budding star. But he's not going anywhere. So we can dead all of that conversation. But I think it's a perfect segue and transition, however, to the next segment we're going to do. And it's called Right or Wrong. And I want to start with Deshaun Watson's situation. And I want to ask the question, and I'm going to read your comments, you know, in the comment section, right or wrong, okay? So I'm going to pose the scenario to you. And then I want you to tell me, was this person or is this situation right or wrong, okay? So I want to start with Deshaun Watson's situation. Was Deshaun Watson right or wrong for wanting input on the GM hire? Now, Cal McNair, the ownership in Houston, I think he may have led Deshaun to believe that he was going to be involved in some way, shape, or form in this process. Not necessarily making the final decision. And as you heard from Adam Schefter, Deshaun wasn't looking to have final say input. He just wanted to have input, okay? And as we know, what input is someone giving you information, their opinion, not necessarily for you to make a decision based off of their opinion, but just some more things to consider as you make your decision. Was Deshaun Watson right or wrong for wanting input in this decision to hire the next GM of the Houston Texans? I want you guys to take the time now. You don't have to use the hashtag LouieTLive. Just write right or wrong. That's all I want from you. Watson right, Watson wrong. That's all I want from you. So I know that you're talking about this particular topic that we're talking about. Was he right? Was he right or was he wrong? So I'll be looking to see what you guys have to say on that. And I'll tell you this much. My personal opinion on this is if Cal McNair led Watson to believe he was going to be involved, then you have to be a man of your word and have him be involved in some way, shape, or form. If Cal McNair never led Watson to believe that he was going to be a part of this process, then he needed to clearly make him understand that we're going to handle this on our own, but we're going to do right by you and the guys in that locker room with this hire. Trust me. We're going to hire the right guy, but I do want your input on the next head coach of the Houston Texans. And once we hire this GM, we want to bring all of you guys in here and we want to kind of see what you guys are looking for in the next coach. What went wrong with the last staff that was here, and what can we do to bring together and foster a better culture and environment here in Houston. Yeah, that's what I thought should have happened. But if he was led to believe that he was going to be a part of it, then he needed to make him a part of it. If not, then I do think he's wrong for wanting to be in part, because again, this isn't the NBA. You know, this isn't a LeBron James situation where you get to pick everybody in the organization's brain as to what's happening. That's not this. This is the NFL. It's not the NBA. These aren't 15-man rosters with 3 or 4 guys on that roster having infinite power. This is the NFL. It's a 53-man roster, and you're just one of 53. Now, you're a very important one, but you're just one of 53. It's totally different. So let's go to the comment section and see what you guys have to say. Michael Weinstein says he thinks Watson was right. If they told him he was going to be a part of this process, he has every right to be disappointed that they then left him out after telling him he was going to be a part of this process. Jabrailin Vanzit says, right, if the ownership is ass like the Texans, who don't have a culture or know how to run an organization. So he believes he was right. Rich says right because he was promised he was. And again, I feel the same way you guys do. If he was promised that he was going to be a part of that process, then I think he was in the right there. I think he's a little wrong if he was never given that confidence that he was going to be a part of that process. Captain Spartan 04 says absolutely right. Players know who is legit and who is not. Pat McAfee knew from the first day Ryan wasn't the guy. Again, players, they hear things. Players talk. And so you do have a little bit of that as well, that these players do know who's legit and who's not legit, as you mentioned. Guzman _Chris says Watson was right. Albert says he was wrong. Mike Lowry says Watson was right. HHC Lunar says kinda right. John Perez says Watson was right. He says Watson is their franchise and star and should have the power to choose who he wants. I wouldn't go that far to say he should have the power to choose who he wants. But again, if they told him he was going to be involved in this process, they should have made him a part of the process. Eric Gomez says he was wrong. Jabraylin Van Zant says Cal McNair needs to sell the team because he doesn't know how to run an organization. It sounds like this thing is heading in the wrong direction. You know, since Bob McNair has passed away, it doesn't seem like this thing has been run correctly. And it doesn't seem like it's going in the right direction. D. Lee says, right. 1, if he was told he was going to be a part of the process, then yes, he should have been. 2, the organization sucks. They clearly have been making bad choices, so he should have been involved. I can't disagree. I can't disagree with anything that you've just said. Junior 13 says Watson is wrong. He should have known about the bad culture. Can't expect anything from a shit organization. Again, can't disagree with that either. And Jordan Jones says right. Just depends on how it was presented, and I kind of feel the same way. All right, so I got another right or wrong for you guys. Have you heard what Juju Smith-Schuster had to say about the Cleveland Browns? If not, you're in luck, because I have it right here. And so I'm going to read to you what Juju Smith-Schuster had to say ahead of a big family business affair on Sunday night against the Cleveland Browns at Heinz Field. Juju Smith-Schuster, who is not having his best season of his career, thought it was the right thing to do to say the following. All right. Let me pull it up. And I had it pulled up. And I dropped the ball. But I'm gonna find it anyway. Don't you worry. And here it is. So here's what Juju Smith-Schuster, or actually, here is what Juju Smith-Schuster had to say. Quote, I think, so this is, he was asked a question about the rivalry versus the Browns. Okay, so you have to keep it in its proper context. He was asked by a media member what he thought about the rivalry playing the Browns for the 3rd time this year against the Browns. And he said the following. I think they're still the same Browns team I play every year. I think they're nameless, gray faces. They have a couple of good players on their team, but at the end of the day, I don't know. The Browns is the Browns. Ouch. I don't know if I would have done that and said that. If I were Juju Smith-Schuster, he might as well have just went and danced on the logo in Cleveland. He might as well have just done it again. I know the game's in Pittsburgh, but shit, to hell with it. He might as well had driven to Cleveland and danced on the logo, had somebody record him dancing on the logo, and uploaded that to social media and TikTok and all of the rest of the sites right before kickoff. He might as well have done that. That might have been better than him saying what he just said. Let me read it one more time. Juju Smith-Schuster on the rivalry versus the Browns. I think they're still the same Browns team I play every year, meaning they're shit. They're garbage. We usually trample over them twice in a season. They're the same Browns. I think they're nameless gray faces, meaning they got some guys, but for the most part, seen one Brown player, seen them all. They're all pretty much mediocre. They have a couple of good players on their team, i.e., hey, it's a couple of dudes over there, you know, Chubb and Landry, but I mean, really, they don't have anybody that scares us. Myles Garrett's pretty damn good, but yeah, that's about it. But at the end of the day, I don't know. I mean, the Browns, they the Browns. All right. Well, I'm pretty sure there's more to this quote. And, you know, it's easy to take a little bite out of he could have been talking for 2 minutes and somebody took 15 seconds. That's why I tell you it's important to have all the information sometimes. So I don't want to overreact, but even that little 15-second bite, out of context or not, you don't say that before a game against a team in the playoffs. You just don't say it. Where's the benefit in that? They're the same gray, they're the same nameless gray faces. Really, dude? They're the same. These are not, apparently, I'm not sure. Let me ask. Are these the same Browns? Because they went 11-5 this year. Have the Browns been going 11-5 every year? I'm just asking for a friend. I'm not sure. Are these the same 6-10, 5-11, 7-9, 8-8 Browns that we've seen over the last 5 to 7 years? Is this the same group? 0-16, probably 5-6 years ago? Doesn't look like the same group to me. I don't know what was meant by this, and everybody will play the "it was taken out of context" card. Don't say it. So I'm going to pose it to you. Juju Smith-Schuster comments, right or wrong. Leave it in the comment section. I wouldn't have said it. I don't think he should have said it. I don't give a shit if it's out of context. I don't need to hear the rest of the statement. I don't need to hear the question and how it was posed. You could think that, you don't say it. He's got to have better sense than that. And I can tell you this. Juju Smith-Schuster's stock is plummeting just a little bit. Just a little bit. Maybe it'll help the Steelers get a discount on him to have him back next year. Because he's a free agent after the season. He feels and smells like a Steeler for life. Like a Hines Ward, type of guy. Right? Does all the dirty work, go over the middle, be a tough guy. But the things he's been doing, and yeah, it's all in fun, and he's young, and I'm not looking to step on, rain on anybody's parade. I'm all about having fun. Life is about having fun. Football is about having fun. That's why I love this Buffalo Bills team this year. They're having fun. You saw them dancing the hammer the other day. Can't touch this. But you gotta draw the line somewhere. Juju's been kind of teetering on that line. And then when you get blown up on Monday night versus Cincinnati, everybody's laughing at you because you do things like this. Let's see what you guys have to say. So here we go. Maho says, disrespectful Juju. Guzman Chris says, Juju is wild, bro. He needs to stop. He joined his friend A.B. in diva status. I wouldn't go that far, but I don't think he's anywhere near A.B. in the way he conducts himself. But I think he did overstep his boundaries on this one. GC says, he didn't mean it the way people took it. And he's not a diva now. He's not a diva. I agree with you on that, GC. Go get her. Michael Weinstein says, wrong. Boy, do I wish Bostic or KPL whacked him in our game. Guzman _ Chris says, nah, he meant it that way. He should have just kept it pushing. Yeah. Captain Spartan 04 says, Juju was right. The quote was taken extremely out of context. Tomlin calls every opponent gray faces and to treat every opponent the same. Just sports media took it and turned it into a narrative. So that gives it a little bit of context because Tomlin calls all of his opponents gray faces. And so, cool. That makes the first part of that, statement, sound a lot better. But if you're not in that Pittsburgh media, if you're not used to what Tomlin says, then are you going to take it for what it's worth? Are you going to take it for the face value that it is? I mean, or are you going to take it for the way that Tomlin phrases it to his players, or are you going to take it at its face value? And that's what you got to understand. I'm a Washington fan. I don't follow the Steelers. I don't follow the Steelers media. I don't know what Tomlin says all the time. So if I see this quote if I'm a Browns player or if I'm a Ravens player or if I'm a fan of the Saints, I see this quote. I don't know what the hell Mike Tomlin says. So I just think that when you say things like this, all he had to say, if you wanted to clear this up, all you got to say is, as coach says, all these teams are gray, faceless teams. We approach it the same way every week. I see this Browns team is no different than that. They're talented, and I think it's going to be a good matchup. That's what you say. You don't say this. This sounds degrading and demeaning and like you're trying to talk trash. Whether it's intended to be that way or not, that's how it sounds. So if all you had to do was add in, as coach says, that's it. Then we know, oh, okay, that's what Mike Tomlin usually says about every opponent. Pac-Man D3 says, right, just because I'm all for the smack talk between division rivals. Well, even if that's not how it was meant, that's how it's going to be perceived. So this is going to get talked up. JP says, bruh, don't get me started with this shit. Juju is dead wrong. Browns won't have their coach on the sidelines, and his comments will only add to fuel the fire. 50-point murder coming. I don't know where everyone gets this Browns winning the game narrative from. I know you've been talking about that, JP. We'll get to that later on in the show. Albert says, right, it's good to have smack talk. Guzman _ Chris says, Browns is good as Steelers. LOL. GC Go Getter says, even if he did mean it in a bad way, they're rivals. This is what the new NFL is missing. This is what they did back in the day to make it more interesting. I'm all for it, but that's not the environment that we live in anymore. I long for that. I long for the days where this kind of stuff. Chase Young caught flack for just saying I want Brady. I mean, people tried to spin that into something negative. That's the day and age that we live in. That's the society. It's PC. You know that. Look, I would love nothing more than guys to not like each other and not jersey swap after 60 minutes of war, go dapping up dudes that you never met just because you respect them. You can respect them after the game, outside of the confines of the cameras and everything. But that's not how these guys are wired. They're all friends. They played Pop Warner together. They went to school together. They work and train in Florida together. They know each other. It's a brotherhood. It is what it is. You don't get a lot of this anymore. So I understand they're rivals and they shouldn't like each other. And that makes for better theater. But that's not the age that we live in, unfortunately. HHC Lunar says he was wrong. And let's keep it pushing. All right, so I got another one for you guys. The NFL today released its all NFL team, first team. And I want to know if you guys feel like this list is accurate. So I'll go through the AP all NFL first team or all pro team, okay? So this was compiled by a select national panel of 50 media members. So this is what the all NFL or all pro first team looks like. So we start with the offensive side of the football. Quarterback for the all pro team, Aaron Rodgers. Running back, Derrick Henry of the Tennessee Titans. Tight end, Travis Kelce of the Chiefs. Wide receivers, there are three of them. Devontae Adams of the Packers. Stephon Diggs of the Buffalo Bills. And Tyreek Hill of the Kansas City Chiefs. Offensive line looks like this. Left tackle, David Bakhtiari of the Green Bay Packers, who's now out for the season. Hurt himself before the Week 17 game in practice, done for the year. Right tackle is Browns free agent signee of last offseason from the Tennessee Titans, Jack Conklin. Left guard, Quentin Nelson of the Indianapolis Colts. Right guard, Brandon Sheriff of the Washington Football Team. And center, Corey Linsley of the Green Bay Packers rounds out the offensive all-pro team. You get to the defense. Edge rusher, TJ Watt of the Pittsburgh Steelers. On the other side, Myles Garrett of the Cleveland Browns. Defensive lineman, Aaron Donald of the Los Angeles Rams, and DeForest Buckner of the Indianapolis Colts. Remember, he was traded in the offseason from the San Francisco 49ers to the Indianapolis Colts. Linebackers, 3 of them. Fred Warner of the San Francisco 49ers. Bobby Wagner inside for the Seattle Seahawks, and Darius Leonard for the Indianapolis Colts. Then we get to the cornerback positions, 2 of them. Jalen Ramsey of the Los Angeles Rams and Xavier Howard of the Miami Dolphins. You get to the safety position, there are 3 of them. Tyrann Mathieu of the Kansas City Chiefs, Minkah Fitzpatrick of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and Budda Baker of the Arizona Cardinals. You get to the special teams portion. Place kicker Jason Sanders of the Miami Dolphins, punter Jake Bailey of the Patriots, kick returner Cordero Patterson of the Chicago Bears, punt returner Gunnar Olszewski of the New England Patriots. You got your special teams player, your gunner essentially, George Odom of the Colts, and long snapper is Morgan Cox of the Baltimore Ravens. So with that group, I don't see a problem with quarterback. I don't see a problem at running back, tight end. None of the receivers bother me at all. Left tackle, nope. Right tackle, no problems. At guard or even at center. You get to the defensive side of the football. Watt was one of your leading sack getters this season. Garrett was problematic. He might have forced the most fumbles this season. Aaron Donald is Aaron Donald. Never, ever trust a man with 2 first names. DeForest Buckner was a problem for the Colts. Fred Warner, Bobby Wagner, Darius Leonard, got no issues there. Xavier Howard, I think he led the league in interceptions. This guy's a problem. Jalen Ramsey, we know what he is. Tyrann Mathieu, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Budda Baker, got respect for all of those guys in the seasons that they turned in this year. Jason Sanders, I thought he was phenomenal this year. And I know he made a bunch of kicks, I think over 50 yards. I think that was him. Jake Bailey, this is the one I disagree with. I'm biased a little bit. I'm a Washington fan. I don't think Jake Bailey was better than, our kicker, Tress Way. But then again, who might have punted more than the New England Patriots in the league? Nobody. So maybe that's why he won. I love Cordero Patterson. I don't think there's anybody in the game better at returning kicks than him. Gunnar Olszewski, I guess. I guess there weren't many. There weren't many people that were returning punts at a high level this year. So I don't know. And so, do you got a problem with any of this? That's the real question. Do you have a problem with any of this? Let's get to the comment section. So, let's see. Kevin Olcak says, Jair Alexander snubbed. I don't think he was better than either one of these 2 dudes that are up here, personally. I've seen his body of work this year. I know what the guy's capable of. Love Jair Alexander. But I don't think he was snubbed because I just don't think he was better than Ramsey or Howard this year. If they had added in another spot, then that's when you could start to consider a guy like Jair Alexander, But I think when you look at corners, I might even put the Giants cornerback that they got from Carolina, James Bradbury, ahead of Jair Alexander this year. Personally myself, I wouldn't have put him over either one of these guys either, though. So I feel like they got it right there. Go Getter says J.C. Jackson snubbed. J.C. Jackson got worked in a couple of games, though. He had a bunch of picks, but he got worked. Don't you remember the Jets game on Monday night where he was getting worked by the Ravens' former first-round pick, Bashad Perriman? He was getting worked in that first half. Let's see. Michael Weinstein says Devin White has 150 tackles and 9 sacks as a middle linebacker. Disgraceful. you could make an argument there. Bobby Wagner, that's one of those situations where, and Bobby's still playing at a high level. Don't get it twisted. But, that's one of those situations where you go off of name recognition more so than the actual production on the field. So, yeah, that's essentially what I see there. I'm not Blake Martinez was good. He doesn't deserve to be on this list. I saw somebody say Blake Martinez. Chris Lopez says, where's Tressway? That was my biggest issue. Jake Bailey, I could say, might have been the best punter because their team punted the most this year. But if you ask me if Tressway is better than him, I'd tell you yes. But the Patriots punted a hell of a lot. So there's that as well. Kevin says Jair Alexander was rated the number 1 cornerback by Pro Football Focus. I don't give a shit about PFF. I can't stand PFF, to be honest with you. Don't like the way they grade, and I don't think they do a tremendous job. But you are more than welcome to go based off of their stats. But I don't trust a damn thing that PFF says. So I got my 2 eyes. I watched all the games, and I know what Jair Alexander has done this year, and he's been really good. But if you ask me right now, who were the best 2 corners in the league this year, I think they got it right. I think there's one guy in here, Bobby Wagner, if you wanted to argue, and maybe even Darius Leonard. There was a little period there where he was a little banged up, but I love me some Darius Leonard, and I think he's playing at a very high level. But, if you wanted to throw Devin White in there, that's one of the arguments that I would definitely listen to if you're talking about linebacker. So, he has the highest net average, but that's another. And so Go Getter says a team punting more, I don't think makes you a good punter. Facts. It doesn't make you necessarily a good punter, but if you have more opportunities to punt and you have a higher average, you also have to, and I think that's a faulty way of looking at it as well, because if your team is picking up 3 first downs and you're punting from your own 47, you're going to have a lower average because you're not looking to boom it 60 yards. You're looking to pin a team inside the 10-yard line. So your net on that punt might be 37 yards, but you did your job because you got a punt fielded or down inside the 10. That's the stat that I'm looking at is, how many times did you punt? And it's hard to really quantify that because, again, where are you punting from? The Patriots offense was so anemic. It was putrid this year. So there were probably a ton of punts where he's got to boom it and he's getting 49 and 57 and 60 yards if a guy lets it hit the ground and it bounces and they're down in it. Or their coverage gets down there and, they got Matthew Slater and they got Fiends running down there and they cover it well. It's going to make his average look a hell of a lot better. So it's all in circumstances. But their offense was so bad. That's the point I was trying to make, is that he's going to have more opportunities to kick the shit out of the football, is essentially what I was alluding to. But anyway, I personally love Tressway. But anyhow, I had another question for y'all. My last one of the night. I don't know how true this is, but I was looking at the first team, all pro. And then the second team was released. And they had no tight end. I don't know if that's true or not. How can you just leave it vacant? Seriously. Like, I find that hard to believe. And I think that was some erroneous stuff there. But in the case that it's actually true, and the second team tight end was left vacant for whatever reason, which to me is mind-boggling, because I got one guy in mind when I think of the second team, all pro. Right or wrong, should the second team tight end, all pro tight end, be left vacant? Right or wrong? And if you think it's wrong, who should have been in there? I've got my guy in my head right now. You guys tell me what you think. All right. This is, to me, a no-brainer. If you watch football, if you are a fan, then this is, to me, a no-brainer. You don't even have to think about who the second team all-pro tight end should be. I've already seen some people who get it already. It's Darren Waller. Like, what are we doing here, man? It's like, seriously. There was no George Kittle this year, pretty much with the injury. It's Darren Waller, man. The dude has been absolutely balling this year. He was balling last year. Okay. What are we doing here? Like, what do we, and I don't know if that's accurate or not. I find it hard to believe that 50 media members that follow this league closely can't figure it out and put Darren Waller as your second team all-pro tight end. There's no way. I don't even need to go to the comment section. I think we all understand what the injustice there was. Anyhow, I just don't know if that's true again, and I don't have all the facts there. I can't confirm nor deny whether that's true or not. If that is in fact the case, shame on them. Because we know who the second best tight end in the league is. And for those of you who, and another question that I have for you guys, that was going to be the last one. I got another one for you. There were 2 unanimous first team all-pro members. Travis Kelce at the tight end position, Aaron Donald at defensive tackle. Now, I got no problems with Aaron Donald. And really, I don't have any problems with Travis Kelce because at one point, Kelce was leading the league in receiving yards this season, okay? He's a hell of a blocker. He catches the football. He's reliable, and he gets chunks. Again, a tight end has never led the NFL in receiving yards, and Travis Kelce was close this season. So I don't have a problem with him being unanimous, but to not have a second team tight end is a travesty. Do you see anything wrong with those 2 guys being unanimous? And do you think anyone else should have been unanimous? Okay, that's the last question. Right or wrong? Were those the only 2 unanimous decisions? Should those have been the only 2? Right or wrong? And after we'll move on to my money picks of the week after that. So most of you have already said Waller should have been the guy. Again, I'm not quite sure how that happened. And I don't know if it's true or not, but it is what it is. I'm disappointed if that's the way they're going to decide to do that. But I digress. Let's get to Wildcard weekend, shall we? In my money picks of the week.
Money, yeah, yeah. Money, yeah.
Money, yeah. Let's get it. Money picks of the week. Yeah, that's a good pick. All right. So let's take these in the order in which they're going to be played this weekend. We start on Saturday. 1:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the Buffalo Bills. Nobody, and I mean nobody, circles the wagons, whatever the hell that means, like the Buffalo Bills. I remember Chris Berman used to say it every single year. Swami says, Buffalo and 49ers in the Super Bowl. He used to do it every year. Buffalo Bills will be hosting the Indianapolis Colts. The Bills will be hosting a playoff game for the first time since 1995. And what's sad is that the Bills Mafia won't be in attendance at this game. At least I don't think. I saw that the Green Bay Packers said that they're going to allow some fans in for the divisional round game. So whatever the case may be, this is a really fascinating matchup for a number of different reasons. Here's the first thing that I look at. I see Colts, I see Bills, I see the tear that the Bills are on offensively. They're scoring points on everybody. Josh Allen is in fuego right now. All right, he's in the zone. That's my guy. I couldn't be more thrilled for him. You guys know how I feel about Josh Allen. I've tried to tell anybody that would listen for the last 3 years, this is the guy. This is the guy. And now he's proving to everyone that he is, in fact, the guy. And that trade, and I've said this already, since Brandon Beane's come in there, he's just turned that thing around. And I love how they've surrounded Josh Allen with the talent that they have, going out and getting Stephon Diggs and Cole Beasley the year before, along with Smoke Brown. And now he's got a full trio of receivers. They sprinkled in a little bit of extra, stuff on top. Getting Gabe Davis, that was just extra icing and a little cherry on top. They didn't need that. So you got a rookie coming in here balling as well. They even said, just for safe measure, in case Smoke Brown decides he wants to get injured again, he's a high maintenance athlete. A lot of times you got to put those kind of guys in the shop every now and again. We got, Kenny Stills over here on the practice squad heating up in the bullpen ready just in case. So that's a nice luxury to have. I think they've got a nice stable of backs. They added Zach Moss this year in the draft. Obviously, you got Devin Singletary already. I love their tight end situation. You know how I felt about the tight end that they drafted last year and what I thought was one of the better tight end draft classes we've seen in quite some time. I said all of that to say this. Their offense is loaded. And you're going up against arguably the best defense in the AFC. So to me, it's a perfect matchup. You get Matt Eberflus in this bend but don't break Colts defense that doesn't give up a bunch of big plays. They keep everything in front of them. It's going to be interesting to see how they attack. Do they remain patient if the Colts stay in that cover 2 shell, keep everything in front of them, keep those safeties deep? Do they remain patient, take what the Colts are giving them, and work their way down the field? Or does Josh Allen get a little antsy, roll out of the pocket, and decide he's going to chuck it deep to his guys? It's going to be a fascinating back and forth between Brian Daboll, who may get a job this offseason, and Matt Eberflus, who may get a job as the Colts defensive coordinator this offseason. To me, those are the two strengths of this team. Don't sleep on the Buffalo Bills defense. Since Matt Milano has come back healthy and they've gotten a little bit healthier on that defense, Tremaine Edmonds has gotten healthy of late, and they've started to, kind of gel and mesh together. They've been better defensively. I've actually been, it's quiet. Shh, don't tell nobody about how this defense has quietly been getting better of late. I like the way that the Bills are playing on the defensive side of the football. Indianapolis is very capable on the offensive side of the football. I've always said this. Which Phillip is going to show up? Is it good Phillip or is it bad Phillip? They haven't had to ask Phillip to do much lately because the run game in Indianapolis has been spectacular down the stretch. Jonathan Taylor finally found his mojo. And, it takes a while sometimes in this league. And I told you, everybody matures at a different rate. This guy may get it day 1. This guy may not get it till year 3. It took him about 11 or 12 games to figure it out. But here he is. He feels like he's back at Wisconsin again. And I told you guys, he was a first-round pick. In my estimation, he was a first-round back. He was my number 1 back on the board last year. And I said, if he gets on the right team, he's going to be a stud. Well, I can't think of a better team outside of Tennessee to draft this guy because they're dedicated to running the football. We've seen all of the assets they've spent on the offensive line and how they open up holes in the run game. And now it's back like he's running against Big Ten defenses all over again. He ran for well over 200 yards against Jacksonville in the season finale. He's playing his best football at the right time. And so the Bills at one point were not a good rush defense. And so this new version, this reincarnated version of this Bills defense has been much better. But they could be due for a stinker against a team that's going to make a concerted effort to run it. And if they can run it and shorten the game and take that explosive Bills offense off the field, this could be one of those trap games. That's why I think this is a really interesting game because the Colts have morphed into this rush-first offense. We know their defense is capable of bringing that high-powered Bills offense back to earth because they've been on another planet the last month and a half or so. This is a fun game. I said all of that to say this. The Bills are the better team. The Bills are still capable of scoring 30 despite this Colts defense being as good as they are. They're still capable of scoring. They're not going to score 40 this week. That's not going to happen. They've been scoring 40 like their brains have gone bad. They scored 56, an NFL high, last week against the Dolphins, who were the best scoring defense coming into the game, and they murderized them. They're not going to do that this week. But I think the combination of Josh Allen and that offense, coupled with their defense being able to get after Phillip Rivers, who I think is 1 foot out of the door in terms of retirement, is going to be good enough for this Buffalo Bills team to advance in the postseason for the first time since 1995. All right, they've been in the playoffs multiple times. They were in 99, the Music City Miracle. They were in 2017, but they lost in those games to Tennessee and to Jacksonville in 2017. All right, they lost in 2019 last year to the Houston Texans. They're going to finally advance this year, and I think they're going to be a tough out, and it wouldn't shock me if they made it to the AFC Championship game. But before you can get to the championship game, you got to get to the divisional round. And before you get to the divisional round, you got to win in Wildcard weekend. Bills got to take care of business. I think they will. Give me the Buffalo Bills to take care of the Indianapolis Colts. I think this game is going to be a lot closer than people think. But I think the Bills get this thing done 27-20 over the Colts. Rams, Seahawks. Your 4:40 kick on Saturday afternoon in Seattle. Family business. You know how the family do it, okay? Ain't nothing like a little bit of January family business. Nothing smells better. And you got the Rams and the Seahawks playing for the third time this season now. Still don't know what's going to happen with the quarterback position in Los Angeles with Jared Goff. Will he? Won't he? We don't know. I told you a fascinating stat on Monday when I broke down the games of the teams that were involved in the playoff picture. And I thought this was a really funny stat that I just couldn't believe. This Rams team won 10 games this year, 10-6. Every single game this season, they've turned it over at least once. Hard to fathom for a 10-6 team. Hard to fathom that a good football team like the Rams hasn't been clean all season long. And it's hard to win against good teams. You can beat teams in this league with a turnover or two, especially the bad ones. But once you get to playoff football, it's just like playoff basketball. Every possession matters. And when you got a team that's sloppy with the handles and doesn't mind turning the ball over in the NBA, you're going to lose games in the playoffs because every possession matters. You got to get a shot up. And in the NFL, it's nothing wrong with a punt, especially when it's playoff time. Make them earn it. You turn it over, and a lot of times, a wise man once told me, most NFL games are not won by the team that goes out and executes and plays well. It's won by the team that makes the least amount of mistakes. Most NFL games are not won, but rather not lost. Okay? The team that makes the fewest mistakes wins in this league. The Rams are prone to mistakes. That'll get you beat in this league. That's how you lose to the Jets. At home. Okay? So I worry about the Rams. And then, it may not be the worst thing in the world that Jared Goff can't play if he can't go. I think he's going to ultimately play. But if he can't go, it might not be the worst thing in the world. And I told you guys this on the pod on Wednesday. That boss told me, bro, you need to check out this young guy for the Rams that's running around. I said, John Wofford? He's like, yeah, check him out. Okay, I'll go watch him. John Wofford isn't bad, man. And he adds an element to that offense that didn't exist with Jared Goff there. And because of that, I find myself fascinated with what Sean McVay can do with this newfound element of being able to run with the quarterback. You saw McVay have a level of trust with John Wofford that I didn't think would exist with a guy that you just started for the first time and hasn't played in an NFL game before. So it was fun to watch this guy gain confidence as the game wore on. And so I'm not sure that he can't do enough against this Seahawks defense that hasn't seen him before, that doesn't normally have to prepare for a Rams team with a mobile quarterback. I'm not sure if he can't do enough because remember, at one point, in week 16, when these two teams clashed for the second time with the division on the line, we're deep in the third quarter and the score is 6-6. Okay? Like, these two teams, they're not going to be a bunch of points scored. And the difference, honestly, if we're going to be honest with each other, we're going to keep it a buck here. That score, I think at one point was I think it was 9-6 Rams. And then Jared Goff throws one of the ugliest interceptions you will see all season long. And the game changed and it was never the same after that. So if you can eliminate some of those mistakes and you got a mobile guy, maybe, I'm not saying, but just maybe the Rams could do something here. Now, we know that defense is legit. They're the best defense in football. Either conference, it doesn't matter. Aaron Donald and company never, ever trust a man with two first names. To me, they're the best at harassing Russell Wilson. He has nightmares about this Rams defense. He's had them since he's come into the league. Even when the Rams weren't any good and they were back in St. Louis, this team used to get after Russell Wilson and cause him fits. So they still do that to this day. The Rams will be in this game. But the Seahawks were my Super Bowl prediction before the season started. I had Chiefs, I had Seahawks. I'm not backing off of that now. And I think the Seahawks gained some confidence by beating them at home in week 16, and they think they can do it again. And I'm going to roll with them. The key is going to be they've got to establish the run game. All right, they've got to establish some semblance of balance. They cannot just put this all on Russell Wilson to find DK Metcalf, to find, Tyler Lockett, to find, David Moore and all these other guys. They have to establish the run. Even if they don't run for 4 yards a carry, they still need to be balanced so that they can keep this Rams defensive front honest. If they can just tee off on Russell Wilson, it's going to be a long day, and they could ultimately win this football game. But I'm going to go with the Seahawks at home to take care of business. I don't think there are going to be a ton of points scored in this game. As a matter of fact, the first to 17 wins, and I think that's going to be Seattle. I'll take the Seahawks in a 17-9 victory over the Los Angeles Rams. Bucks at Washington. I'll give you a breakdown here, but I'm going to save my prediction for my show later on tonight, Washington Football Nightly. I'll just tell you this. There is a path to victory for Washington in this game. We all know what it is. I've already explained this. I won't get into intricate details, but I've said this numerous times. I'll repeat it again, and I'll probably say it 20 more times before this game kicks off at 8:15 on Saturday night. There's a path to victory for Washington, and if you're looking at it from a Bucks game standpoint, it's the Bears game on a Thursday night earlier this season. The Bears got after Brady early. They got after him often. They were able to harass him to the point where he couldn't even tell you if it was third or fourth down at the end of the game. All right. They made Brady really conscious of the rush around him, so much so that he missed open guys down the field. And that's what Washington's going to need. They're going to need some breaks like the Bears got. Open receiver down the middle of the field for a touchdown. Brady overshoots him. Open guy and he drops the football. You're going to need a little bit of help, and you're going to need to. A wise man once told me, in order to be lucky, you got to be prepared. You got to put yourself in a position to be able to get lucky. If Washington wants to be able to be in a position to get lucky, they got to get to Brady. That's how you force him into missing a guy, where you go, whew, dodge the bullet. Well, the pressure that you applied to him in the first and the second quarter made him miss an open guy for a gain of 30 in the third quarter. If you want to win this game, they're going to have to get after Brady early and often. The more you hit him, the more he starts to see ghosts. That's the key. And if you're from a Washington perspective, this game offensively and defensively, and more so the second half, into the second quarter, into the second half, but this game needs to look like the Steelers game. 23-17. You find a way to control the quarterback. You get interior pressure like they did against Ben Roethlisberger. Didn't sack him at all, but they got a ton of pressure. Brady doesn't get it out as fast as Roethlisberger does. This isn't a 2.18 second from snap to release type of situation like it was against the Steelers, where you just had to get your hands up and try to muddle the pocket. Brady's going to stand back there looking to launch it to Scotty Miller 45 yards down the field. Okay? Brady's going to look to throw it to Antonio Brown 37 yards down the field. This is Bruce Arians' offense. No risk it, no biscuit. You know what time it is. So it is not necessarily one of those situations where we got to get there quick. He's going to get it out of his hands. This isn't Brady in New England. Dink and dunk, nickel and dime, surgical with that bitch. 5 yards, 7 yards, 10 yards, 6 yards, 8 yards, keep moving the sticks. No, they're getting chunks in Tampa. So you're going to have time to get there. You better get there. And so I think this is Washington's offense. It's no world beater. We all are aware of this. And the whole quarterback conversation is a relevant one because Alex Smith ran out of juice in his calf against the Eagles in week 17. And we all saw it. And 2 interceptions followed thereafter. His last 3 interceptions are directly correlated to a calf muscle that wasn't right. The one against San Francisco and the 2 on Sunday against the Eagles. So we know that if Alex isn't right, he can make mistakes. They've got to be able to recognize what's going on and get him out of there if he can't perform at a level necessary to help this team win. It's going to be a fascinating game. Bart Scott, can't wait. I'll save my prediction for a little bit later on, but I think it's going to be one hell of a football game to cap off what I think is going to be a really good Saturday full of football. We get to our Sunday action. Sunday. Ravens at Titans kicks us off 105 Sunday afternoon, 4-5 matchup in the AFC, a rematch of the divisional round playoff game last year in which the Titans went to Baltimore and ousted the Baltimore Ravens for Lamar Jackson's second straight playoff loss of his career. You know, a wise man once told me, or I think I made this one up myself, but just for the sake of saying, revenge is a dish best served ice cold. And the Ravens right now, winners of 5 straight, are feeling really cold-blooded. This one, I think, is going to be fun because the Ravens got punched in the mouth last year. Not in the mouth, TH, in the mouth, F, M-U-F. When you get punched in the mouth, it hurts a little bit. You'll live. When you get punched in the mouth, you're bloody and you lost a tooth, and now you're going home, and for the next 362 days, you're thinking about how I'm going to beat their ass the next time I see them. Now, they lost to the Titans again in the regular season this year, okay? But they went out this offseason and beefed up their defensive line with the Tennessee Titans in mind. They went out and traded for Calais Campbell. They went out and signed Derek Wolfe for this exact game. This exact game. They went out and got those guys for. So that this doesn't happen again. Now we're going to see if all those investments pay off. Now, when they lost to the Titans, the Ravens were going through a little bit of an identity crisis. They didn't know who they were. They were trying to find themselves. They figured out some things, I feel like. And they've ironed out some of those wrinkles. And I think they're playing some of their best football of the year. They're confident again. They're doing the things that they did earlier in the season that led us to believe same old Ravens. They're going to win 13 games and be the best team in the AFC North. That wasn't the case because they had an identity crisis in the middle of the season. I think they figured it out. They've done some good things, and I think they're in a good frame of mind heading into the postseason. And I'll just take it a step further. The Tennessee Titans might have the worst defense in all of this playoffs right now. Their defense is struggling, okay? Look, me, you, and 9 other dudes could line up right now. Give me 5 big guys, a couple of skilled players, and a quarterback. I'm a receiver. We could go out, and I'm telling you right now, give us 2 weeks of practice, we could put up 38 on the Titans defense right now. They stink, okay? They stink. If you used to play high school ball, that's good enough. Let's go outside to one of these college fields, and let's practice for 2 weeks. We could go put up 38 on these boys in 2 weeks. The Titans are going to have no problem scoring on them. The real question is, how well will they fare against the NFL's leading rusher, the 2,000-yard man himself, King Henry. Because if they can slow him down, it will allow them to not have to bite up for play action fake. It will allow them to stay at home and not give up the big ball to Corey Davis or to A.J. Brown. It will allow them to keep everything in front of them and force Ryan Tannehill to have to beat them. And if they can force him to have to beat him and not allow him to be balanced, where Henry has 24 carries for 147 yards, and then Tannehill can go 21 of 27 for 267, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, you're going to lose. That's how the Titans draw it up. Tannehill's going play action fake, and Jonnu Smith is running right up your seam wide open, or A.J. Brown's running down the sideline and Tannehill hits him perfectly and they just got a big play. Or as you found out last year, you can get blessed by Khalif Raymond out of nowhere. You don't have to call. It's okay, y'all. Khalif Raymond might just show up I haven't seen him in weeks. He might just show up for a 75-yard touchdown in this game if you're not careful. So you stop Derrick Henry and everything else kind of then just falls into place. And I think the Ravens are in a good spot to do that. I think the Ravens are poised, they're prime, and they're ready. And it's time for Lamar Jackson to get that monkey off his back. Everybody's talking about how he can't win. He can't win in the postseason. You can't win with his style of play. This is his time. And it starts in Wildcard weekend on the road at Tennessee. Give me the Baltimore Ravens. And oh, by the way, I expect them to be able to run this thing for about two bills in this game. 227 to be exact. Between Jackson, Dobbins, and Gus Edwards. And if you want to sprinkle in and Mark Ingram, go right ahead. But between Dobbins, Gus Edwards, and Lamar Jackson, you might see 227 on these boys in Tennessee. I'll take the Ravens. Bears at Saints. Fascinating game. I think the Saints are very gettable here. This Bears defense is legit. They are capable. I'm a Mitchell Trubisky guy. I don't think he's as bad as a lot of you think he is. You can win with Mitchell Trubisky. That's always been my line. You can win with Mitchell Trubisky, okay? What does that actually mean? Don't ask me. I don't know. But I'm just telling you, you can win with Mitchell Trubisky. To what extent? Again, don't ask me. Stop asking. I don't know why, okay? However, the Saints are interesting because they're scoring a bunch of points of late themselves. And they didn't have Alvin Kamara against the Panthers last week. They still put up 33 points. The week before that, they put up 52 on the Minnesota Vikings. And so they've been scoring some points here lately. All right. And so this is a team that's figuring some things out. They're going to get Michael Thomas back more likely than not for this game in Wildcard weekend. The reason I don't have the most confidence in the Saints is because we've been here before with them. Last year, Vikings, take them out. They've been in the postseason and lost games. So for me, they're not opposed to coming in here looking like world beaters and getting smacked in the mouth and losing this game to the Chicago Bears. That said, I don't know how the Bears score enough points to win. If the Saints defense that I know and love shows up with Trey Hendrickson and Cam Jordan and Marshawn Lattimore and Demario Davis and all these guys flying around, if those guys show up and they play the kind of football that we know the Saints defense is capable of playing, there's no way the Bears score enough points to beat the Saints. But if the Saints defense that we know can also show up like they did on Christmas Day against the Vikings, where they can't stop a damn nosebleed, and the Bears are able to go, because the Bears are capable. I've talked about the amount of talent that they have. People sleep on this Bears roster like, oh, they don't have any talent. Bullshit. They got plenty of talent. All right, they're oozing and dripping talent. Allen Robinson is talented. Okay, Mooney, the rookie, out of Tulane, talented. Darnell Mooney. I don't know about you. I was a Miller guy coming out of Memphis a couple of years back. A few years back now. I think it's his third year in the league. Anthony Miller. I think he's more talented than the Bears lead on. I don't think they give him enough targets. He's inconsistent, but he's talented. And so they got all the parts you need. Allen Robinson, Mooney, Miller, as I just mentioned. You look at the tight end position. Jimmy Graham's been coming on. Jimmy Graham, he's a man. You got the rookie Cole Kmet. You got in the backfield Cordero Patterson, who they've been mixing in a little bit more to kind of take that Tariq Cohen role on. But of late, David Montgomery has been coming on. And that was my guy out of Iowa State a couple of years ago. So there's talent all around that offense. They're capable. But if the Saints defense that we know shows up, they'll shut this Bears offense down and they'll win this game. And that's what I'm banking on. I'm banking on the Saints not necessarily, running up and down the field and scoring a bunch of points. But I see them. And let me give you a score for the Ravens-Titans game, by the way. I got that game 33-23 Ravens. Okay. Anyway, Bears Saints. I just see Alvin Kamara and company doing enough. It's not going to be an explosive day offensively, but it's going to be a good enough day to get the job done. I got the Saints winning this football game comfortably, but you're going to see a game that's competitive early and then the Saints kind of pull away late. I got the Saints winning this game 26-16 over the Chicago Bears. And then finally, Browns, Steelers, AFC North family business. If these two teams said they ain't did it, then they ain't did it. But if they did, well, that's AFC North, up north family business. So we talked about this game briefly earlier with the Juju Smith-Schuster comments. They are what they are. We talked about this Browns team earlier in the week with Kevin Stefanski getting COVID-19 and having to miss this game. That's the storyline here. Another storyline, Steelers go from the number 1 seed in the AFC to the 3rd seed in the AFC, and a team that finished up the season losing 3 out of their final 4 games, or 4 out of their final 5 games, excuse me. I'm not sure if the Steelers could have afforded to do what they did last week, which is rest Ben Roethlisberger and not really, go out trying to win. Now, they tried to win the game. There's no doubt about it. But if they really wanted to win, they would have put Ben Roethlisberger in it. And the rest that he probably got, he's 976 years old. He needed the rest. So I understand why they did what they did. But I didn't think they were in a position to do that. They needed to fine-tune some things offensively. I thought they needed the reps. They needed the work. But when you got a quarterback that is as old as Ben Roethlisberger, his rest is more important than a Week 17 win and stopping the Browns from making the postseason. That being said, you may have sealed your own fate. The very team you just let in may be the team to send your ass home. And that could be ironic because you had a chance to tell them, no dice. We don't like you. You don't like us. We're family members. Stay your ass home. But instead, you let them in. You put Mason Rudolph in and you gave him a shot. And they took advantage of it and they won. Now they're here. They're loud and they're proud and they don't think they're ready to go home yet. And these two teams match up really well because on the Brown side of things, they want to run the football and they want to go play action fake. And they want to push it, and I've already talked about the lack of weaponry, in terms of stretching the football field. Donovan Peoples-Jones has provided them with a little bit of speed at their receiving core, but for the most part, after Odell Beckham left, I didn't feel like they had a lot of guys that spread the, football field that can actually hurt you over the top, but that's not what they're looking to do. They're looking to get chunks. And when you run it the way that they've run it this season with Hunt and with Chubb, and Baker throws it really well out of the play action fake game, you're going to get 18 in zone coverage over the middle of the field to Jarvis Landry. You're going to see Rashard Higgins open for 13 on a deep bench route, These things are open when you run the football as effectively as they do. And then on the other side, you got the Steelers, who don't run it at all and don't apologize for not running it. Throw it as much as anybody in the league does. and plays top-notch defense behind that. Now, obviously, the injury to Bud Dupree hurts, and they had some injuries down the stretch. I'm not sure if Robert Spillane is back yet or not, but he was hurt. So was the other linebacker right next to him. He came back 2 weeks ago, I believe, against the Colts. The Vince Williams came back like 2 weeks ago against the Colts. But at the end of the day, I still believe in this Steelers defense. I do. And I think that they're going to be able to slow down the Browns' rushing attack enough. I think the Browns are still going to have some of their, good hits in there. But I think they're going to be able to slow down their rushing attack enough. They're going to be able to get after Baker Mayfield enough. And the Browns lost their edge rusher, who was coming on strong, in Olivier Vernon. He, missed half of the season and ended up with 9 sacks, tears his Achilles against the Steelers in Week 17. You're not going to have Joel Bitonio in this game, one of your better offensive linemen, inside to help you in the run game. That's going to hurt you. And I just see a Browns team that's happy to be here. No coach on the sidelines. Everything's, pointing against them. But yet a lot of people seem to think that the Steelers are so broken they can't be fixed that they're heading for a first-round exit. And that may be the case. I just don't see it. Personally, myself, I just don't see it. I think the Steelers are the better team. I think the Steelers are going to prove it. And it's not going to be pretty by any stretch of the imagination. But a lot of Steelers games this season haven't been. And nobody's going to apologize for winning ugly. You just need to win. And so I think the Steelers are going to win this football game. It is not going to be pretty. But I do think it's going to be gritty, and most importantly, it's going to be a win. I got the Steelers winning this football game 23-20 over the Cleveland Browns. So it should be a good one. And what's the deal with Chris Boswell? Anybody know? Like, I can't do this Matthew, whatever his face name is anymore. I can't do this. This guy looks like he's somebody's little brother that's still in middle school. And some of these kicks are barely getting through, like, what is it, Matthew Wright or whatever? Like, okay, enough of this already, okay? Where's Chris Boswell? Is he back yet? I need answers. Anyway, give me the Steelers. So that's going to do it for me. Can't wait to hear from you guys in the comment section of this video. Give me your winners, score, and if you got something extra, give me some more in the comment section of this video. And I want to know who you think is going to win these games. I've given you 5 out of the 6. I'll give you my last pick on the Washington Football Nightly program. I'm never clean on Wildcard weekend. I haven't been clean in like 3 or 4 years. There's always 1 or 2 outcomes that I just didn't see coming. I could see every single one of these games going in any direction. So I wouldn't be surprised by anything. However, I feel confident in my picks this year. And I won winners and losers for those of you who aren't in the know. I won winners and losers again. The champ is here. The champ is here. The champ is here. That's right. I'm here in the building again. He did it again. Champs. Two-time champion of winners and losers. Come and get me, man. You know where to find me. Come and get me. And I look to keep that streak going into the postseason. So with that said, I'm going to glide to the side. Go ahead and get out of here. Before I do, I'm going to ask a few things of you. If you haven't already done so, what are you waiting on? Subscribe to the LouieTeeNetwork for more great content. Turn on that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. And also hit that like button if you haven't done so. 58 likes is 160 of you watching right now. I got 58 likes. What's wrong with that picture, man? Come on, guys. Come on. Help a brother out. So if you would be so kind on your way out to hit that like button, I'd greatly appreciate you. If you have already hit that subscribe button, that's more important. Hit that first. Then hit the like button. Anyway, I really do appreciate each and every single one of you. We will be busy tomorrow, all right? I'm still debating on whether to go live after every game or just the nightcap because, there's not a lot of time in between these games. if you're starting at 105, the thought process there is that game will be done at like 4:15, and then the next game starts at 4:40, so you really don't have that much time. I'm debating on whether to go live or not after each game. I'm not looking to be up there very long, so I might just do some local videos and upload them, and then for the night cappers, I'll be live after those. I'll figure it out. You'll know one way or the other. In any event, I look forward to chopping it up with you guys all day tomorrow. Should be a lot of fun. Bart Scott! Can't wait. So, for me and everybody here at the Louie T Network, which is just myself, it just sounds better when you say everybody here at the Louie T Network. Well, I'm just talking about me. I thank you guys for joining me. Look forward to chopping it up with you guys next time. Until next time, you guys stay safe, be blessed, have a good one, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Adios, mañana.